So I want to give credit to somebody that does have a podcast, and he's somewhat famous, but he's not in the circle of like Turning Point and Charlie Kirk and, like, because that whole posse, Tucker Carlson, Patrick Bet-David, Glenn Beck, they're all their own posse, and they say we're the new, we're the news now. Yeah, well, that's great. You're the same as the mainstream media. So, because none of them want to say what this guy says. And it's Jimmy Dore. He's a comedian. Some people have heard of him. So he gets interviewed sometimes by other podcasts, but and he has a pretty good following, but he's not in that group that says they're the media now. And so that's what I like about him, because he voted for Trump, but he's a Democrat, okay? He's the only one, because Glenn Beck, Patrick Bet-David, none of them will say anything against Musk. Whoa, he has gone hard the last few days at Musk. And he even says, Trump, you betrayed your base. But he said, I'm so glad to see that the MAGA people are pushing back on Trump. He's like, we would never see that on the left. He's like, but the MAGA people are actually pushing back. Now, many people could understand why he would say that. I get confused why Trump does what he does. But that said, I think we have to wait till January 20th, even though Elon Musk says that the goals of the 2024 election are different than 2016. Yeah, I think that maybe after January 20th, that's when Musk will find out that that's not true. You never know, that things have changed. Let's hope. Anyway, but no, he calls out because he's I guess you could sort of look at him like a Bernie Sanders, but he did vote for Trump. He did have some problems with vaccine injury, so that kind of opened his eyes to things. But I think he's fair. I think he's really fair. And it's so hard because when you see that posse of Patrick Bet-David, Glenn Beck, and they're all the same circle. That's why they end up doing these events together. And I get sick of that shit after a while, because then what you all do is you parrot. None of them are any different than the mainstream media. But he actually is pushed back. Yeah, he said Vivek shits on American culture to push more, like he just said, no, more globalism, more this. So he knows H-1B visas. He says the same thing. Bernie, which I'm going to post that video, Bernie, 18 years ago, was saying that what they do with the H-1B visas. He was. The same thing they do today, which is we don't have people that are educated as nurses. We don't have enough nurses. We don't have enough lawyers. We don't have enough teachers. And he goes through this whole list. It was from 18 years ago. And he said that's the excuse they use so that they can use H-1B visas. And it hurts Americans. So that's what I like about Jimmy Dore, is that group that has all contained themselves in a bubble. Again, Patrick Bet-David, Glenn Beck, Turning Point, most of those people, with the exception of a few, I guess with the exception of Bannon, does speak at some of their events. But most of them, they're all parroting, okay? So when they're all parroting, don't call yourself the new media, because most of us aren't going to sign on to you. Because here's the thing, Patrick Bet-David, he goes on Fox. So it's still the mainstream media, because many of the people in that posse came from mainstream media. Tucker, Glenn Beck. But then he, who didn't start out in the media, but now he's on the mainstream media. So do you see how it's the same shit show? You were dealing with the mainstream media. They're just all the new posse. So that's why they all parrot. And none of them will speak the truth about Elon Musk and H-1B visas. I think they very much, so that's why, it's like, to me, I like hearing from people like Jimmy Dore, because he's being honest and legit. I mentioned in a video, I think I posted on my other TikTok, about how Patrick Bet-David interviewed this white nationalist. So I think these white nationalist groups, and they come out of the woodwork when they're desperate to get people to divide, and they're feds. To Patrick Bet-David's credit, he does say, are you part of the feds? Because we know that many times that's what the feds are there to do, is divide. Because it's a tool and a tactic that's always worked for them. If they can't divide you by color, then they got nothing else. That's why you can't let them win. So to me, he's just a Fed, because I don't think there's really people that have time for this bullshit. And, this is often some of the things they claim. They don't understand our founders and our Constitution. I'm just going to say it straight. Because as this white nationalist, I'm a nationalist. And you could say, yeah, I'm white, but I would say I'm a nationalist. I'm about national sovereignty. I don't want to be part of the globalists. But I'm not a white nationalist. So as it says here, they have a strict screening to get into their group. We do not permit members who are Hindu, Buddhist, Muslim. We believe that would come into conflict with our sort of America First principles. Here's why they're wrong, and they don't respect or the founding of our country. They would say they do because it was founded on Christian values. It was. But the moment you start thinking that Christianity's, then you become no different than Iran, who persecutes Christians, or any other country that does that. That's what our founders knew. It's a very big, that tightrope is hard to balance. It is. But you can never become like those other countries. And that's what the founders did not want. So he's very wrong on this, but he's a Fed. That's all he is. But he's designed, they pull these people out, the real extreme ones like this. And they're just pretty much actors, and they're there to put it in the minds of everybody. No, see, there's still there's still white nationalist groups. Yeah, no, they're just Feds. So you can't let them keep winning at that game, because that's the only tactic they have, and they're going to keep trying to use it. But no, our founders, there was a reason we accept religions. It's because otherwise you end up like the dictators. So the important part that Christians have to do is not say, no, none of this can be a part of America, but is say, make sure that the Christian values are kept in place by each individual person, by being accepting and open. But there's some things that America shouldn't bend on. Like Patrick Bet-David would like to see the law change or the amendments change to where anybody, even if you were born in another country, you can run for presidency in America. Absolutely not. And that's not a racist thing. It comes down to you have to protect. There are some points you have to protect your value system. You do. So, you could be free, open, people worship as they want, all that. But when it comes to what the founding was, there has to be some protection there. Because what gave America the prosperity it did was protecting that foundation. But to protect it so much that you're going to say none of these people can be a part of my group, well, that's just racist. It is, but so it's that balancing act. This was part of what Patrick Bet-David had said when he was carrying on about Musk. I want you to, can you see what really, who is this really describing? But he's talking about Musk. You're talking about the richest man in the world, possibly one of the smartest brains in the world, one of the best trolls in the world, one of the most necessary forces in the world, where the people that are not fans of you, can't stand him. Now, if I didn't tell you he was talking about Elon Musk, who would you think he was talking about? Trump. Because all of that applies to Trump. But that's where those people, that posse news media, it has shifted, is that it's about Musk now. It's about Musk. It's about Musk, okay? And don't let that, and they all say, don't let anybody separate Musk from Trump. Yeah, I think many of these people are just hoping that the more people that are around Trump that are globalists, that maybe, they'll do something about Trump. That's what worries me about it. But I'm sure Trump knows what he's doing. But this all applies to Trump. And Trump was before Musk in all of this. But he doesn't give, Patrick Bet-David doesn't give credit. This is all Trump here. Trump is more genius. Trump is far more genius than Musk is. Musk is not a genius. If he was, he wouldn't have needed to come here illegally. He could have came over on a visa called the EB-1, the Einstein visa. Look at how his trucks are exploding. You've just been told he's this genius. But this is how they pull people in, because they talk more about Musk, even though Donald Trump truly is the greatest troll and the biggest genius of all.